More seriously, we found in different districts, we found people with different opinions. At the beginning, they expressed their opinions, and then they went into quarrel and physical clashes. Here, I would like to make an appeal. Hong Kong is a tolerant and inclusive society. We hope people with different stances and political views to use a rational way to express their views freely. If you resort to violence, it will get the problems more worsening and create more rifts to the society in Hong Kong. It will be more difficult for us to help Hong Kong out of the predicament. This will do no good to the Hong Kong society. Each time when we see all of those clashes, we found the two sides will report to the police to intervene. I would like to emphasize, for the Hong Kong police, in law enforcement, they are acting in an impartial way. From the grassroots, some people are making some false accusations to the police. I will not recognize your accusation. I recognize the word taken by the police because at this time, they have to quell the unrest in the society, and it is a difficult task for the police. Tomorrow, in the evening hour, in the government headquarters, I will meet with 18 district council members. For this meeting, it is not indicated in my 4 actions. At that time, I said I will work with the principal officials and to listen to the voices from the public. So this is not a dialogue in the community because I said we will visit the communities and have a direct conversation with people from all walks of life with different stances and background. And for the dialogue we are holding with the district council members, in the past 3 months, I have fulfilled my duties as the chief executive. On one side, when we see clashes happening in society, I have the responsibility to hear voices from people with different stances. So we will have the closed-door dialogue because we want to hear the real opinions from the district council members. I have held this kind of dialogue over 100 times. I see people from different sectors, and also some people are actually participating in the demonstration. I would like to hear the voices from them. And as I have just said, the district council member accounts for a large population. They're representing the district council. And pretty soon we will end the section of the district council. So the head of the Home Affairs Bureau suggested that we should have the dialogue with the district council member. That's why we will hold the dialogue tomorrow. And another important task is that now I am preparing for the 2019 policy address. As you all know, now we are at a difficult situation. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to those who attended the consultation for the policy address. Some of these consultations are closed door, and these are, I have already conducted 20 consultations right now. And yesterday, I have met with 30 representatives from the housing sectors to talk about the housing issues in Hong Kong. Because now we're shortage in the housing and the land supply. They're talking about what action should be taken by the SAR government to deal with the situation. And as for the dialogue, with around 10 days of preparation, I would like to update you on the preparation for the dialogue platform. For the dialogue platform, we will stick to many principles. will address the people from all walks of life with different stances and backgrounds. So we have to fulfill all of those principles in order to initiate the dialogue. And the second principle is that we would like to have this dialogue more transparent and direct, so the media can participate in the dialogue. And also, we are quite open for the topics. We're not just focusing on the housing and education. We can discuss anything we want to talk about. And the government would like to contribute to the dialogue platform, and we also like to hear more voices from all walks of life and encourage the dialogue, because we believe dialogue is much better than confrontation. Through dialogue, we can have a deep understanding with each other. In the past 2 weeks, I have heard a lot of opinions on how to build the dialogue platform. At this stage, there were 3 types of dialogue platform, and we will conduct this kind of 3 dialogue platforms simultaneously. The first type is that we will have the dialogue in different districts. So the registration is open to the public, so anyone can participate in the dialogue. I really want to have an open dialogue. And also we will consider the size of the location. So for each section of the dialogue, we could have 100 to 200 participants. And we will allocate the slots to our residents. And the first of this kind will take place next week. Later on, my colleague will give you more details about the dialogue happening next week. And the second kind of dialogue, and we will select randomly the participants from all walks of life with different age and stances. So these people will be more representing, because they can represent different sectors of life. So we can have a deep, in-depth discussion with these people, and we will make more considerable arrangements for this kind of dialogue. Third, as I have just said, I would like to visit the communities and have an open dialogue. But as we all know, we have people from different sectors. They would like to have an in-depth discussion. So for this kind of dialogue, we have only 20 participants for each section. Start from June, we run some trial discussions, and it went quite successful. For people from different stances and backgrounds, they have very sound communication, and they can talk with me or my principal senior officials. On top of those 3 types of dialogue, at the end of August, I proposed the idea of the dialogue platform and also deliver my commitment in early September. I have received many applications from different social groups, including schools and social groups, and they would like to have senior officials attend the dialogue. If possible, I would like to consider all of those dialogues happening in the grassroots. As I have just said, the topic should be open, so we do not pick the topics. With the 3 months of protests and unrest, we all believe that now we do have many deep-seated political, economic, and social problems. We hope these different kinds of dialogue can provide a platform for us to discuss all of those deep-seated problems. The dialogue platform does not mean we do not need to take strict law enforcement. The top priority for us is to end violence right now. So last week, we see the escalating violence, and it also aroused concerns from the public. So now, we will continue to strengthen our work in law enforcement. For the dialogue platform, it is only a first step, but it is a very important step for us. By taking the dialogue, we would like to help Hong Kong make it through the tough times and restore the order in Hong Kong. Thank you. Now is the Q&A section. My question is, as you have just mentioned in the opening remarks, there were some clashes on Sunday. I would like to understand your response to the residents who are participating in the demonstration and rally in Sunday, because they are still insisting you to respond to the 5 demands. So what is your take? And the second point is that you mentioned on August the 20th, you're talking about setting up this dialogue platform. But looking at today, it is already September the 17th, and you said next week you will have the first dialogue. Do you really need to take 1 month to set up this dialogue platform? And last week, I noted you visiting the nursery house, but still there were some demonstrators outside of the nursery house. So what is your comment? So in September, I have delivered a televised speech. At that time, I said I would like to respond to demands that arisen from the extradition bill, and the most important thing is that I have made a decision to fully withdraw the extradition bill. But the extradition bill will be formally withdrawn after the legislative council resumes. I also responded to other demands. This is a careful decision made by the HKSAR government. For some demands, we think there runs counter with the core value of Hong Kong. For example, drop the charges for the illegal offenders. All of these demands are not supported by the public. Through the dialogue platform, we would like to move forward and resolve the deep city problems in Hong Kong. And we do talk about the setting up of the dialogue platform. As I have just said, we have started the work before August the 20th, and would like to hear the voices from people of different sectors of society. But as to visit the community and have an open conversation, it takes some time for preparation. As for your third question, as the Chief Executive, I still have the confidence and fulfill my responsibility and duties. I will pay attention to the vulnerable groups. For example, I will visit the elderly during holidays. Even though now we are under tough times, some people are still waiting outside of the nursery room, but I have to do all of those work because I am the Chief Executive. I have to fulfill my responsibilities. So next week, I will visit the community, and it may have similar situation. I and my colleagues are fully prepared. But now we are facing deep city problems in this society. Dialogue is way more better than confrontation. So we really want to have a smooth dialogue with the public. For this kind of direct conversation will be continued. And the quality of the dialogue is also important. So it is not an one-off event. If one dialogue is not successful, we will not give up. We will continue to have dialogue with more people, with those who are with different stances and identities. Next question.
Hi, RTHK, Mrs. Lam. So first of all, you talked about starting this dialogue platform with the first first session starting next week. So what exactly are you expecting from the dialogue session like next week, given the public distrust and public anger towards you and your administration? And my second question is that you spoke about what happened on the weekend, and we witnessed different people with different political views engaging in brawls, basically. But we don't really see a lot of government condemnation on those who attacked people, those who believe that they who are believed to be pro-Beijing and pro-government or pro-police. So what do you say about, does this constitute to people's distrust in the police, people's accusation in the police with regards to allegedly being selective in their prosecution, arrest, and treatment of suspects? And my third question is, you've repeatedly rejected the demand for the setting up of a commission of inquiry. But aside from addressing alleged police brutality and their handling of the protests, is also about the accountability of the government, investigating the decision-making within your administration by senior officials. So how are you addressing that part? Thank you.
Well, first of all, the first question about the dialogue platform. We are holding the first session next week, and this is an open dialogue platform, which we will invite people from all walks of life to come to express their views to us. This is because of our conviction that communication is far better than confrontation. I hope there is no doubt by now that after 3 months of social unrest, after formal withdrawal of the bill, which apparently has set off this social unrest, people now realize that it is not just about the bill. The problems go well beyond a bill. So it is important for the government to listen and to engage the community to have a better understanding of those problems. Of course, I understand some of these problems about housing, about land shortage, about less diversity, less inclusiveness in our economy, and so on. But since we are going into a new style of governance that is more open and more people-oriented, I think this sort of dialogue will be very helpful. So that is the purpose of creating that dialogue. And I can assure you that this is not a sort of one-off gimmick type of function. It is intended to be organized on a very sustainable and perhaps long-term basis. So the volume of having this sort of dialogue sessions is also very important to us. The second question is about weekend protests and confrontations and maybe even fighting between groups of people with different political backgrounds or different stances on individual subjects. I have to make it absolutely clear that the government condemns all forms of violence. Our condemnation is not politically driven. In the same way, police arrest and subsequent prosecution by the Department of Justice in an impartial manner are not politically driven. We act in strict accordance with the law based on the facts. So nobody should speculate or allege either my government or the police for being selective in the work that we are doing. This is something which is not acceptable in a place like Hong Kong, which we are so proud of the rule of law. The third question is about the demands. We have already responded to the most pertinent demand from the people. If the social unrest was created by the bill, actually within days, I suspended the bill and stopped all the work. But having listened to the people and to create the necessary conditions for this dialogue, I formally withdraw the bill. Of course, the technical legal procedure will have to wait for the commencement of the Legislative Council. But I made it very clear on the 4th of September as one of the 4 actions to start a dialogue that we will withdraw the bill. And similarly, we have pledged full support to the Independent Police Complaints Council to undertake this very full fact-finding, or now called thematic study, to understand the actual situation that has happened over the last 3 months. As far as the government's point of view, I have acknowledged almost 3 months ago of what has gone wrong in promoting this bill or undertaking this legislative exercise. We have fully reflected on the inadequacies of the government on various fronts, and I'm happy to repeat them when an opportunity arises for us to explain what has happened.
The administration, it's not only about you being passionate and being responsible and leading Hong Kong out of the crisis. People are asking, why are you still? Why is nobody in the government, within the government, being punished for what has happened? Hong Kong is suffering. Sure. Businesses are suffering. Hong Kong has been down. Moody's and Fitch have downgraded their outlook on Hong Kong.
Well, I uphold this principle of accountability, but at the moment, it is all for us to see that Hong Kong is undergoing a very difficult situation. And sanctions or punishment are not going to help lift Hong Kong out of this very difficult situation. We need to work as a team, not only within the government, but also with a community and a society at large to overcome the current difficulties. And that's why we all take up the challenge to continue to serve the people of Hong Kong and work even harder in engaging and listening to the people in order to achieve that particular objective.
Gentlemen, the back. Yes.
Hi, a question from Reuters. 2 questions, actually. First question is, Moody's, the credit rating agency, has downgraded its outlook for Hong Kong from stable to negative. What's your comment? And the second question is, according to a number of reports, the Hong Kong government has sought to hire PR firms to revamp its public image. Is this true? And is it true that the PR firms have rejected these bids? And if so, what's the Hong Kong government's plan with regard to restoring its image? Thank you.
Well, first of all, the financial secretary has already issued a very detailed statement about Moody's decision yesterday. To change the outlook of Hong Kong's rating from stable to negative, of course, is something that we find disappointing, and we do not concur, especially if the justifications for that sort of change in outlook was premised on whether we are still upholding one country, 2 systems, whether Hong Kong's institutions are as strong and robust as previously, whether more integration with the mainland economy will blur the 2 systems. So premising on those bases, we do not agree with the negative rating. But as I have commented on a previous rating decision, the continued instability and social unrest in Hong Kong, as we have seen some of these violent acts from time to time, will inevitably undermine and adversely affect international perception about Hong Kong's business environment. So this is something that we have to be very alert to, and that's why I said, while creating this dialogue platform, the first priority is still to stop this violence and to restore law and order in Hong Kong as soon as possible. About your second point, the government from time to time will have to find some outside help in the form of consultancies to advise us or to actually help us to execute some of our local as well as overseas promotion work. And I could confirm that at the one point in time, we did have that idea of sort of approaching some international PR firms to provide some of those advice. So this is something that has happened. Okay? The advice we have been given is the time is not right, because we are still in this sort of social unrest, disturbance, and violent acts and vandalism on such a regular basis. It would perhaps be not the most cost-effective way to use the government resources to launch any campaign to rebuild Hong Kong's reputation. But sooner or later, we will have to do it because I have every confidence in Hong Kong's fundamentals. Similarly, in responding to Moody's decision, our statement stressed that Hong Kong's fundamentals remain very strong, whether it is one country, two systems, the rule of law, our connectivity, our many opportunities arising from national initiatives, and so on and so on. So the time will come for us to launch a major campaign to restore some of the damage done to Hong Kong's reputation as a result of what has happened in the last few months.
最後一條，第二排戴眼鏡嗰位。
特首你好，我们是中央广播电视总台的
from
记者。
China Media Group.
我们注意到，在上周末的
We
非法游
realized
行
in
和
the
暴力的
last
破坏
week's
活动中呢，
protest
有
and
参与
illegal
的黑衣蒙面
assemblies,
人被市
there
民
were some
扯下面罩，后来
black-clad
呢，有消息显
protesters
示这位人士
to
是
their
某个
cover
政府部门的
being
公务员。
unveiled,
想问一下，对于
and
有
it
个别的
shows
公
that
务
these
员
people are
参
some
与非
government
法游行及
officials.
暴力的破坏活动，
So,
除了警方
what
的
is your
严厉执
comment
法
on that?
特区政府
On
会有
top
什么
of
样的约
the
束和这个
police
管理
law
的机制？
enforcement,
谢谢。
any mechanism taken by the ACR government?
非常的遗憾，在这个几个月
I
的
feel very
这个
sorry
示威
that
这个
in the
过程里
past
边
few months,
据我理
during
解
the protest
是有
and the
这个公
demonstrations,
务员参与的
to my
也有
knowledge, some of
参
the
与示威游行表达个人的
government
意见
officials
以一种非
participate
常的和
in
平
the
这个
demonstration to
对
express
大部
their
分的公务员
views.
是可以的。
So
有部分
it
的
is
其他
all
的
right
公务
for
员
some
是
of the
受到
government
公务员的
officials
威力的
to
限制
attend
这个也是
a
公开
peaceful
的资料
demonstration.
但是
Actually, that is
被
transparent
警方
to
拘
the
捕的
public. But
据我
for
理解
those who are
是有个
arrested
别的
by the
公务员
police,
我们对这
these
个
are
这个
some
情况是
individuals.
深感遗憾
We
也
feel
肯
sorry
定
about
会
this
采取
situation,
有关的
and we will
行动
certainly take some
但是我
actions.
在这里也不太方便
Here
公布我们就个别公务员采取的
I
行动
cannot
我重申，对于公务员
release
这个
more
违反
details. Once
法律
again, I will
这个
say
是一定
for
不会允许的
lawbreakers,
我们
especially
会
for
按着我们
government
的公务员
workers,
的
government
条例
officials,
采取应该采取的
we
行动
strongly
但
oppose
是
that.
我必须强调，我们是
I
一个
have
超过
to reiterate
18万的公务员的队伍。
So we have over 180,000 government workers in the past 3 months. Some of them are working in different departments. They are carrying a heavy workload, but still, I feel gratitude about the government workers, especially in such tough times. They're dedicated in their post and serve the Hong Kong residents. Thank you.
And that was Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam addressing the latest protests in the city. Some big points out of this news conference. She said her top priority is to end the violence in Hong Kong and revealed a new dialogue office for residents to discuss their views and concerns to Hong Kong. That'll start next week. That's all for now here in Washington. Let's send it now to my colleague Li Dongning in Beijing with more on that.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Thank you very much indeed for the press conference coverage. And we are now joined by our guest Lawrence Ma in Hong Kong for more in-depth discussion about what Carrie Lam just said. Hello there, Lawrence. Well, first of all, this whole presser by Carrie Lam focused on the dialogue platform that is going to start very soon, probably next week. Citizens of Hong Kong will be invited to discuss their main problems. So at the moment, what are the most sticking or most deeply seated problems for Hong Kong people?
Well, you've got to see from the perspective that of the whole thing, because she has underestimated the combined power of the local anti-government sentiment and the combination with it, the foreign power of subversion, which cooked up this chaos. Emotionally, she was very depressed to face the media, the public, and the citizens in Hong Kong to deal with the situation, particularly in June, July, and a good part of August. Now she's doing the right job because of micromanaging Hong Kong by at least stepping out now to face and to speak to the people and to have a dialogue, a full frontal dialogue with almost as possible, every citizen that you can get contact with, which is a very good sign for Hong Kong.
Well, Mr. Ma, Carrie Lam just said that this dialogue platform is going to be sustainable. It's going to be a long-term action. Then the dialogue platform is going to kick off very soon. How about the follow-up mechanisms? How to ensure that all the discussions, the outcome of these discussions happen at the platform will become part of the future development plan in Hong Kong or even part of the government policies?
I think that the dialogue is very much so a mechanism for people to ventilate their views of their dissatisfaction. But I would say that the Hong Kong government is not blind to all these demands. And many of the demands are very well known, like shortage of land, as you said. People are not happy about certain things. But as long as whether this is sustainable, it depends on at least she has at least 2 years more in office. I think that would be at least sustainable for at least 2 years to come.
Right, Mr. Ma, on the latest development in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong police said on Monday that 89 people have been arrested for offences in protests over the weekend. So what could possibly be the legal consequences for these 89 people?
Well, many of these people were involved in unlawful assembly, which itself is punishable by 3 years imprisonment. Also, they're involved in the riot because they were actually disturbing Hong Kong's peace and good order, and that would be maximum of 10 years imprisonment. And also, many of them have committed criminal damages, and which is liable if someone who damages others' property without reasonable excuse. That would be also punishable in our law for 10 years imprisonment.
Well, Mr. Ma, last but not the least, talking about the police behaviours, which was part of the question of one of the reporters at the presser just now, she even used brutality to describe the police actions. So you are in Hong Kong. According to your observations and your understanding in the city, how do you evaluate the performance of the police officers in Hong Kong?
Well, for at least for all the months that preceding today's riot, in June, July, August, and September, we can see that the police are exhausted. They are spreading themselves very thin because there's protests and riots every day. And the police has been very reserved in use of their powers. In fact, police were actually condemned by a large section of the community for not taking or using sufficient force to combat violence. And what we have seen that the police are doing a good job in actually containing the rioters and trying to arrest each and every of them. And only until the very blink of their risk of life, they would withdraw their guns and at most fire the guns to fire a bullet to the air. So we consider that the Hong Kong police is, as compared with other international police of other countries in the world, they are much more restrained than many of them when confronting with these sort of riots.
Thank you very much, Lawrence Ma, a barrister and the chairman of the Hong Kong Legal Exchange Foundation. Thank you very much for your insight. Now to some other news. Chinese Vice Finance Minister Liao Min will lead a delegation to the US for trade talks on Wednesday. The visit comes at the invitation from the US side. Both sides are preparing for next month's high-level negotiations in Washington. Now, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang has arrived in St. Petersburg for an official 3-day visit to Russia. Li and Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev will co-chair a meeting between officials from both countries. A joint communique is expected to be released after the meeting. The Chinese Premier is also scheduled to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. CGTN's Aliusa Milankovic reports from St. Petersburg.